And we were about to start ministry, man, in Abuja. I traveled for many years, served for many years. Only God knew why he kept me until the time I started. When I was about to start, the little money I saved, the Holy Ghost told me to give all out as seed. I'm about to start ministry. I'm giving money out. Am I going to start with stone? He said, start with faith. I gave all the money out. 2 weeks to our inauguration, I had a catalog of meetings. In fact, the last meeting I went for was in Calabar to preach for my friend. And we got there, we preached. I was supposed to catch Dunsin's outpouring in Lagos the next day. So we finished this meeting. The flight they booked for me, I asked for the details of the flight. They now told me the flight was for 4 o'clock from Calabar. I said, what do you mean? I'm going for outpouring by 5. How can I board a 4 p.m. flight? Before I get to Lagos, the meeting would have started. With the Lagos hold up, when will I get to Lekki? That will be almost 8 p.m. Get another flight. They said the only flight they have is in Uyo. And that flight is for 8 a.m. How can I leave Calabar in the morning and catch an 8 a.m. flight in Uyo? They said, don't worry. There is a river we can use boat. I said, no, come on. Is it do or die? Just leave the meeting. I wanted to call Dunsin to tell him, please, I can't come. The Holy Ghost warned me. Don't try it. Go for that meeting. Don't try it. Go for that meeting. I said, okay, no problem. Let's get to the boat. They booked the flight. 6:30 a.m. we boarded the boat and we were flying on water. I held my chest and I was praying in tongues. Only God knows what brought me to this water. Manta barakatoa balagata. After taking that risk, we got to Uyo. They told me, oh, the plane is airborne. What do you mean? I'm seeing plane. They said they've locked the door. Before we called the people I know to call the airline, they didn't pick on time. They had started engine. Plane took off. I stood. I was watching the plane going. What nonsense is this? I just sent those in the text. I can't make it. So while they were discussing in Lagos, Apostle Mike said they can't come home. Somebody now told me, no, there's another flight for 11 from Port Harcourt. Okay, book the flight immediately. Let's catch it. They quickly booked the flight. Before we now got vehicles to leave Uyo, because we came by water, it was already 10:20. They said, no. Before we get to Port Harcourt, the plane would have landed Lagos. So we turned on the road. I said, listen, I'm going to Abuja. Said there's a 12 o'clock flight from Uyo to Abuja. Get that ticket for me. I returned to the airport. While they were discussing, somebody now heard at the background. Who do you say cannot come? They say Apostle Mike. He said, what do you mean? I came here because of him. Give me 10 minutes. And the person made a call. They moved the private jet to pick me immediately. That's not the testimony. I'm just showing you how this movement can change your life. I put myself together immediately like an apostle of private jet. I've left the level of jumping up and down. I don't have stress anymore. I sat down. They picked me up like an executive apostle and flew me to Lagos. They were serving me. I crossed my leg. No more running up and down. We landed Lagos. They picked me with some solid SUVs and took me to the hotel, serving me like a king. I put myself in order and I showed up for the meeting. Guess what? I was to speak for 10 minutes. And I told myself, is it 10 minutes that I've been stressing myself since morning? 10 minutes? What will I say in 10 minutes? Well, no problem. It's a music festival. So I dressed up. I went for the meeting. I spoke for 10 minutes. Dropped the mic and left. 1 week to my inauguration, one of the leading women of God in Abuja called Dunsin to tell me that she wants me to come and minister for her. I said, no problem. Since she's an elder, I will come. When is the date? They say it's the day of my inauguration. I say, I can't. Today is my inauguration. I'm resting because today has to be a day of fire. When I wanted to tell Dunsin no, the Holy Ghost said, don't try it. Go. What do you mean go? Today is inauguration. Why will I pray for the inauguration? Go. I said, okay, I will come. That morning, I came to preach. Remember, I'd given all the money I had as seed. I came, I preached for 1 hour, 20 minutes. When I finished, the whole church was so blessed. The woman stood up and said, I was told that he's starting his ministry today. Let's bless him. And before I knew what was happening, they gathered 14 million and gave me. I say, okay, is this how this thing works? This is an opportunity waiting for my inauguration. But it took movements on the inside. And they gathered 14 million. Now, all the people that were supposed to bring sound, LED screen, I was telling them, don't worry. 2 hours to the meeting, I will send you a lot. I will send you a lot. There was no kobo anywhere. But when I left that church, I left like a big man. I called the guy with sound. How much is your money again? He said 2 points. Send your account number. I forwarded it. How much is your money for LED? I forwarded it. And meeting became a blast. Not because there was savings anywhere. Not because we begged anybody under heaven. But millions gushed in. And inauguration was glorious. Because there were movements. If I didn't go for the meeting in Lagos, we would not have gotten there. If I refused to go for that meeting during that inauguration, we would have had the opportunity. The whole meeting would have been a flop. Listen. It's good to have faith, but faith alone is not enough. You must know the leading of the Holy Ghost. Because the Holy Ghost is the one who creates the pathway to substantiate your faith. But many, they are not spiritual enough to pick those movements. If you don't pick them, you will struggle. This is the first structure that God has put in place to make you enter your opportunities. See, this thing, something told me. Better learn tonight. It's not something, it's a movement of God. As the wind bloweth, thou listest not from whence it cometh or where it goeth. So are they that are born by the Spirit. Many lost their husbands because they didn't hear this thing. Wait there, they didn't hear. Somebody said something, they wanted to react in anger. They didn't hear. And they spoke. And the man who was watching them say, is that how she is? I better go. And he runs away. And a whole season was lost. Because they didn't pick the frequency. If you stop picking those frequencies, you will struggle in life. And I can tell you many stories like this. We were looking for venue in Abuja to use. A friend of mine showed up and said he wants to have a meeting that week. And I just felt in my spirit, drive him around, let him get the venue. And I said, okay, come, let's go. As we drove, we went to one location. It was not good enough. Another friend told us about another location. When we entered that location, the moment we walked into the office to tell the owner of that place to please give us his venue, the man saw me and jumped up. What are you doing here? I have looked for you for 2 years. I said, me? He said, yes, it's God that brought you here. The first thing was that location, automatically they gave it to us. But guess what? The venue we now use for our first 1 year, it was that man that made the call and they gave it to us. Just because I heard, drive somebody. See, spiritual things are not complex. They are weaved into your everyday life. But it will take your ability to sense the Holy Ghost to live spiritual. Some people think living spiritual is by squeezing their face and acting like spiritual people. You can squeeze your face and not know God. You can squeeze your face and be carnal. The Pharisees were masters in it, but they didn't know God. But somebody else can be simple, laughing and jovial. But if the Holy Ghost moves, he knows. That's a spiritual man. You are not spiritual because of your disposition. You are spiritual because you obey the word and you obey the movements of the Spirit. That's a spiritual person. And everybody who is spiritual will maximize seasons in his life. It's not this era where everybody wants to go abroad. Don't move until the Holy Ghost moves you. I was telling my people, greener pasture every day. We are not cows. Sons don't look for greener pasture. They go to places where they are led. So if the Lord is leading you abroad, go and take over. But if he's not leading you, wait for him. A lizard in Nigeria will not turn to a Komodo dragon in London. Stay where God tells you to stay, and your life will become a wonder to your generation. This is the mystery of accessing opportunities that many Christians are not aware. And today, the story is no longer at that level. It has shifted. What God did once that was a big miracle is now a weekly occurrence. Because the more you follow, the more glorious your life becomes.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Don't forget to like and share my videos to help spread the word. Your support means a lot, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.